So now we are on the very last of the 144 compatibilities, and it is the BOAR. So we're going to compare all the compatibilities of the male BOAR with all 12 female signs, starting with rat female. So BOAR male and rat female. There is a good measure of attraction between these two, and they will strive to have a companionable and peaceful relationship. Both are outgoing, sociable, and energetic, and will probably center their life around their home, friends, and mutual interests, all of which will include a good deal of entertaining. This couple will be drawn to active pursuits and have definite ideas about their involvements. She could be more sensitive and prudent of the two, while he is positive but too conciliatory at times for his own good. He may have need of her wise counsel. So all in all, it sounds good. I think the rat female is attracted to the understanding and kindness of the BOAR, and she's fine with doing all the more routine things anyways because that comes more natural to her. I think what's the most important for her is that there's understanding and support there. And not to where it's like, because then the BOAR will also notice all of her hard work as well at the same time and be consciously aware of it. And now, BOAR male and ox female. This is an acceptable union, but unlikely to be a strong one. The different outlook and behavioral patterns of these two partners will engender underlying friction. As a rule, the BOAR is warm, generous, and understanding, but the ox lady may only notice his sensuality and love of extravagance and find him too immoderate for her needs. On the other hand, the ox's predilection for hard work and constant security and self-discipline may unnerve the BOAR. So he might feel overwhelmed by her management. It's like micromanaging in a way. He is jovial, gregarious, and open, and he works only to ensure his leisure. She is serious, systematic, and rigid, and finds contentment in her labors. So she finds satisfaction in working hard and seeing the results. Whereas the BOAR might be more likely to just work enough to be comfortable, but won't go the extra mile, so they more so treasure their downtime and just being not really caring too much about details or routines or taking things seriously enough that the ox would want. So now, BOAR male and tiger female. This will be a warm and gratifying union, as each side has a strong desire to please the other. Both are affectionate, dynamic, and progressive in their basic attitude and will nicely complement each other. The BOAR is kind and understanding enough to cope with the unpredictable moods of the tiger, while she finds him devoted, courageous, and unselfish. The tiger is usually repentant for her outbursts when she meets no opposition. So as long as there's no constant criticisms, and yes, she might be aware that she has these explosive tempers every now and then, but if you give her time and don't constantly try and ridicule her or criticize her, she eventually comes around and in most cases than not reflects on things and fesses up when she knows she was in the wrong. So and I guess that's where the BOAR has that ability to be patient and understanding and not be throwing daggers right away if there's opposition to him. Let's see. And the BOAR's good humor and compassionate ways, like I said, will bring out the best in her and make her more compliant to his wishes. Yeah, it's all in the way that it's done. So, BOAR male and rabbit female. The BOAR's courage and dedication please the quiet and well-mannered rabbit. She is sagacious, resilient, and subtle, and will impart some of her astuteness to him without his noticing. He finds her kind and cautious and will lavish on her both his affections and the luxuries she likes. The BOAR is selfless enough not to seek more than the rabbit can give, and she will be happy to be the object of his attentions and generosity. Both could feel enriched by this union. So that sounds like a good union as well. They mesh well together. So, all right, now boar male and dragon female. In this fairly successful relationship, the gains will probably outweigh the losses. Both sides are ardent and forceful, although in different ways. The powerful dragon wife could stimulate any spouse into action or break him in the process. The boar is not averse to bending to the desires of his loved one and will be tireless in his efforts to achieve success and win her approval. They are evenly matched in energy and love of physical exertion. Their mutual flaw is that they are both too responsive to stimuli and could be easily carried away by their enthusiasm and excesses. There may be no one to apply the brakes. I see. So that is the Achilles heel to that one, is they can get along so well, and the boar doesn't mind her taking the lead and doesn't mind her pushing him and stuff, because he will do everything he possibly can to please her and get approval for the one that he loves. But at the same sense, since they're both very much driven and thrive off of stimulation, like it said, it'd be hard for one of them to find where to stop and where to switch between like more the calm and the crazy, I guess. So, boar male and snake female. The aesthetic snake cannot abide the boar's sincere but mundane and simple ways. He finds her too complex and secretive. The snake is too highly evolved, ambitious, and profound for the overindulgent and trusting boar. She will not approve of his open and easygoing ways, and will be aloof and unsympathetic to him. The boar, in turn, will find the snake's uncommunicative and coldly calculating attitude very disconcerting. Both will suffer from unfulfilled expectations and will lack appreciation of each other's positive traits. So, this definitely is a combination of hot and cold, where one is more cold and detached and logical in their ways. The other one is more warm, expansive, and fluid. And those are two very different outlooks and ways of dealing with things and handling things. How they feel about things is different. Boar male and horse female. Both signs are pleasure seekers with very social personalities. They could benefit each other to a certain extent. She is imaginative and resourceful, while he is dependable and good-natured. The boar admires the horse's animated and cheerful ways, and she finds his devotion and honest fortitude very pleasing. Very pleasing. Because both understand the value of compromise, they will have an active and involved marriage, but without stepping on each other's toes. They will, however, opt to live their lives to the fullest. On the darker side, neither party will worry too much about tomorrow. So they get along very well, yet there is that downside where both are not really attuned to planning ahead or thinking about the what ifs. So they just kind of dive into things at the same time, where, bad things could happen if you don't prepare for something or you don't think ahead of something. But that really is literally going with the flow, I guess, right? It's just not everyone's forte. So now we're on to boar male and sheep female. In this warm, intimate marriage, both will give their best to the union and have a deep love and genuine concern for the other. The boar is sturdy, gallant, and thoughtful enough to please the gentle and compassionate sheep lady. She, on the other hand, will mother him as well as make him the object of her worship. If that's what you're into. The sensual and simple boar will interpret her possessiveness as true love and devotion. He is generous and protective too, so the sheep will be able to perform at her best, something she can do only when she knows she is loved and appreciated, as she will be in this union. So that sounds like one of those undying love things, but it's not tragic. If it was tragic, then that would definitely not be a happy. That's more of like a, I don't know why I brought in tragedy. Just scratch what I just said. I guess what's a good, like, mushy gushy, it's like those couples that are in public and they're very PDA. And, I mean, it's nice that they have that kind of a love for each other, but they're like putting it on display. And I don't know, it just makes me want to vomit, to be quite honest with you. Sorry, but it does. Hey, I'm entitled to my own opinion, okay? All right, moving on to boar male and monkey female. This will be a fairly civil union, but the partners may not be very fascinated by the other. I'm sorry, but the partners may not be very fascinated by each other. And I basically just said that. The boar is too straightforward and scrupulous for the complicated monkey. She has more pungent tastes, and the boar will definitely be too bland. On the other hand, while the monkey is deviously charming, her complexity and pretentiousness may prove too much for him. So, regardless, she would be too much for him anyways. Too much stress, probably. Both are bound to be irritated and bruised by the incapacities of the other. Still, they could make a go of this match if they can figure each other out and concentrate on their positive qualities. Yeah, so just, again, different dynamics, different types of people. Boar male and rooster female. If both parties make the proper concessions, this could turn out to be a feasible match. There will be areas of disagreement, but both have the capacity to work out differences if they admire the other enough. The boar may be too passionate and warm for the analytical and mentally inclined rooster. She is too argumentative and knowledgeable to follow or love him blindly. However, on the positive side, neither is too thin-skinned, and criticism will affect them like water running off a duck's back. The honest and accommodating boar has a true need for the rooster's diligent and critical mind. And although she is capable and self-confident, she will need the affable boar's diplomacy and reliability. So I guess they could still work and have a good combination together because they make up for what the other one makes up for what the other one lacks. As long as they can both agree and compromise their differences. Now, boar male and dog female. These two will enjoy a kind and agreeable relationship despite their differing attitudes toward life. Both are robust, open, and honest, and like doing their best whenever possible. However, the dog can be aggressive and will not withhold her criticism if the boar is too self-indulgent or lax in his duties. She is not as passionate as he is and may lack understanding of his large appetites and sensuality. Still, they may be able to find a common ground for cooperation. The dog has more insight than the boar and will be loyal to him. And the boar is tolerant and generous enough to forgive the dog's peculiarities and see her as the trustworthy and noble ally that she is. So that sounds like a fairly decent combination as well. And last but not least, we have the boar male and the boar female. This combination could work out well if the partners are able to take the good with the bad. Being born under the sign of the boar, both of them will be strong, courageous, and modest, but they may lack direction and tenacity and may not be able to shore up each other's weak points. Sincerity and goodwill without resolute and systematic organization could wreak havoc for two such well-meaning people. One of them will have to be unemotional and disciplined to cope with reality, as well as adversity. Otherwise, their mutual love and loyalty will not be much protection for them. See, and that goes to show that it is important to have both. You can't just have fun, understanding, and just easygoing all the time. That's why they say, preferably, you don't want to pick somebody who's too much like you. If you pick someone who is too much like you and doesn't have some things that could offer, you should have two different things to offer to create something whole. That's why you have your left brain and your right brain. They balance each other out. So in this case, it really does state that, right? On one of them will have to be unemotional and disciplined to cope with reality, logical, right? Structured, as well as adversities. When things go wrong, can we find solutions, right? Troubleshoot problems. So not just being like, okay, well, let's just veg out or let's go over here. I just want to get my mind off of it. No, you need to find solutions. So not to say this couldn't work, but it would be crucial that one of them has at least some qualities within them that is not entirely like the BOAR itself. Because if it's just the same BOAR characteristics, then it's not going to be very fruitful. Eventually, either they're both going to just live on a commune, which some people are fine with. That's totally fine. Everybody likes different lifestyles. That's not my personal preference, to be quite honest. I like communes, but I'm just saying, like, I'm talking about a commune to where it's like, it's off-grid living, but there's also hard work going into off-grid living is what I'm saying, okay? So there's like different types of communes. I'm talking about a hippie commune. I'm not into that stuff. I like being hippie, like hips, like whatever, the hippie style, but the hippie lifestyle, I'm not, that's just not me. Oh, sorry. I think it's cool. I think people who enjoy that, that's fine. But that is definitely the BOAR's type of lifestyle, is the hippie lifestyle. I would eventually, I could probably do that for a little while, but I would eventually go crazy. I would literally probably lose my mind because I need to have some kind of structure. I need to have some intellectual stimulation, which comes from a lot of times when you do logical things, when you do structured things. And I guess this is kind of going way off and ranting anyways, but I'm just talking about the way people think and logically and perspective wise. And I'm probably ruining this video by ranting right now. So I'm just going to stop and leave it at that. I hope you liked this. Peace out.